Before the world even opened its eyes, Iran had already lost its brightest minds. Sirens screamed through Tehran like a nation gasping for air. And then, nothing. A stillness so heavy, it felt like the earth itself had stopped listening. 9 of the country's top nuclear scientists, 23 of its most powerful military commanders, including Chief of Army Staff, wiped out in seconds. A surgical strike. No warnings, no claims, only ashes, and a chilling silence that echoed louder than any bomb. But buried beneath the debris wasn't just death. It was something far more dangerous than missiles. Something Israel never anticipated. A response that would shake the world. Before moving ahead, here's something important. Don't skip. This story is fictional. It's inspired by current events, yes, but what you're about to watch is a what-if tale, not a news report. The real conflict between Iran and Israel is still unfolding, but this narrative is crafted to spark thought, emotion, and reflection. So, stay with us, because sometimes the most powerful truths are told through fiction. In the quiet outskirts of Isfahan, far from the polished boots of generals and polished floors of parliament, lived a boy named Ramin. 17, son of a physicist, grandson of a war veteran. He hadn't known much of peace, only the lull between conflicts, but he knew his father's smile. He knew how the old man would stay up nights, scribbling on chalkboards, muttering equations like prayers. He knew how his mother would keep the curtains drawn tight, afraid of satellites and whispers. Ramin had dreams, though, of studying in Europe, of discovering something, anything, worth more than destruction. But dreams don't survive bombs. And when the missile struck the Natanz facility that morning, his father was among the ashes. Ramin didn't scream. He didn't cry. He watched, as the government mourned in anger, as the streets filled with fists and flags, as the word revenge rolled off tongues like prophecy. But Ramin, he carried something else. In the halls of Iran's leadership, fury crackled like dry leaves. The Supreme Council convened behind sealed doors. Retaliation was inevitable. Across the border, Israel braced, military bases fortified, air defenses activated, and, in the underground war rooms of Tel Aviv, commanders spoke not of peace, but of what comes next. And yet no missiles came. Not that day, not the next. Instead, something unthinkable began. International broadcasts hijacked. A message, looping in dozens of languages. A boy's voice, calm but resolute. You've taken our minds, but not our spirit. If you fear what we might build, then watch what we create without you. It was Ramin, backed by dozens of young Iranian students, hackers, activists, and even exiled scientists. They launched something no one had expected. The Noor Accord, an open-source initiative offering peaceful nuclear research to any nation, in exchange for transparency and mutual cooperation. No government backing, no military ties, just people, young, wounded, and terrifyingly brilliant. At first, no one believed it. The West mocked it. Israel dismissed it. But within days, universities, in Sweden, Brazil, Japan, all signed on. What began as a whisper turned into a roar. World leaders called emergency meetings. Iran's own regime was split. Some saw it as betrayal, others as a miracle. And then, a moment no one expected. Israel's former intelligence chief appeared on live television. His words shook the air. Perhaps, in killing minds, we've awakened souls. Within weeks, the Noor Accord grew into a movement. Thousands joined. Former soldiers, scientists, survivors from both sides of the border. And in the heart of it all stood Ramin. Not seeking revenge, but reconstruction. He organized a historic summit in Istanbul, a city between two worlds. Iranian and Israeli youth sitting at the same table. Tears were shed. Names of the dead were spoken, not with hatred, but honor. And then, silence, until one girl stood up. An Israeli, sister of a fallen pilot. She looked at Ramin, voice trembling. You could have destroyed us. Why didn't you? He didn't answer right away. only held up a photograph, his father's chalkboard, covered in equations, because he believed in building stars, not falling under them. The missiles never launched. Not because Iran couldn't, but because its children chose something louder than war. Across the globe, protests for peace erupted, not for governments, but for possibility. And in a region soaked in centuries of fire, a spark of unity was lit. Not in policy rooms, but in the hearts of people. Israel and Iran never signed a treaty, but they shared something more dangerous to their regimes: hope. If this story stirred something inside you, don't let it end here. Share this. Because maybe someone, somewhere, is holding the next spark of peace, and they just need to know they're not alone. Subscribe if you believe the world needs more moments like this. More courage, more humanity. More stories that remind us revenge may end lives, but forgiveness. Forgiveness rewrites history.